Well, this was something that was talked about a little bit earlier in the year, but at the same time, it didn't get as much. It didn't get as much mainstream attention as it should have. But apparently, we're supposed to be getting a Dead by Daylight film sometime in the future. An official release date and year has not been confirmed yet, but we do know that this is something that was like announced back in the spring. It was reported by Variety, and the film adaptation is supposed to be coming through Bloomhouse Productions and Atomic Monster, and it's supposed to be alongside Behavior Interactive. And Dead by Daylight, I feel like is one of those games that ended up becoming way more popular than a lot of people had initially expected that it would, because I think the game originally came out back in 2016, and um that just so happened to be one of the few good things to come out of that particular year, because a lot of people feel like 2016 was probably one of the worst years of the teens decade. But ever since its released back in 2016, I believe the game has reached at least 25 million downloads worldwide, and that's a impressive feat, even though it took a couple of years for the game to reach that feat, because I believe it was reported that it reached that feat back in the spring of 2022. And honestly, like, if you're gonna do a film adaptation of Dead by Daylight, I mean, you could basically do the traditional horror film format, where you have victims trying to escape a killer and all that stuff, which I do feel like, the horror genre in general, whether it's survival horror or whether it's horror movies, I feel like that is going to make a huge comeback, and it's going to get more popular as the 2020s decade progresses. 'Cause it seems like everything in general is getting worse. People are becoming more morbid and, just angry at life and all that stuff. So I could see the horror genre becoming more like popular in the future. And after all, like, Dead by Daylight has like a lot of other things like within its franchise that is getting it more like mainstream attention bit by bit. Um, I believe like there was like a spin-off game, like a dating sim for Dead by Daylight that came out back in the summer of 2022. And I believe it also had like a board game that came out back in April as well. Um I think a comic series for Dead by Daylight came out like a year ago or something like that. But obviously, Dead by Daylight is a franchise that's most likely going to grow over time. Um, I do feel that before we ever get like a sequel or anything like that for Dead by Daylight, I do feel that the creators are going to do everything they can to pretty much milk this particular game out for as much as they can, with spin-off games, with merchandise, with anything like, digital media related. They're going to do everything they can to make as much of a profit off of Dead by Daylight as they possibly can. And um and and the game is available for just about every game system that you can pretty much think of. And I do feel that, like, for the most part, this game is one that, and, like, as a horror game, it doesn't get as much credit as the likes of, Alan Wake 2, which came out like a couple of weeks ago. It doesn't get as much credit as it should, but at the same time, I do feel like Dead by Daylight is something that can be one of the more popular, like, survival horror video games of the 2020s decade. I don't necessarily see it surpassing the likes of, Resident Evil or Silent Hill in terms of like popularity, because those two, those franchises that I just named, they're pretty much household names. They've been around since like the late 90s or early 2000s, and they've been very popular for a while. I know Silent Hill like the franchise has been on hiatus for quite some time, but it looks like it's going to make a strong comeback, and it's something that might unfortunately overshadow Dead by Daylight, the next couple of years or so. But a lot of people, including myself, are looking forward to seeing what the film's going to look like because as it currently stands, we have no idea. When it's going to be released, who's going to star in it. Um, what to expect, how they're going to handle the film adaptation in comparison to what was presented in the game. But those are things that we're all just going to have to wait and see. And hopefully, we'll have more information and details about this upcoming film adaptation for Dead by Daylight sometime in 2024.